Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to click below to subscribe and share.
It's not just about the photograph, it's the outdoor experience. Keep in mind everything that you need to know about photography. F-stop, shutter speed, lens selection. Nice photo. I've got beautiful light now. Oh my God. I'm your host, Doug Gardner, and your wild photo adventure starts now. Here in the high plains of the United States, you will find one of nature's most amazing but feared natural phenomenons. Supercell thunderstorms that are capable of producing tornadoes. That's right, this week we're storm chasing in Tornado Alley in hopes of photographing these beautiful but sometimes deadly storms. I'm your host, Doug Gardner, and the wild photo adventure starts now. Hey Brian, it's good to meet you.
Good to meet you, Doug.
Great, man. I tell you what, when I left home, people said, you're crazy for going storm chasing. I'm a little apprehensive about this, so I'm glad I'm in good hands with you. What got you into it?
Well, when I was a child, I grew up in Oklahoma, and of course Oklahoma is famous. It's a land of where supercells rule.
Right.
And my father was a storm spotter and became a storm chaser. And we had a lot of different events through my childhood, so once I kind of matured to the point where I could drive, that was a whole new era for me. And I went into the Air Force and got some formal weather training, came out of that, worked in the TV market for a while, and eventually ended up running storm tours.
Awesome. So you take people all up and down Tornado Alley, chasing storms with the hopes of, I guess, seeing tornadoes.
Yeah, we travel about 500 miles a day, and we have people from all over the world that come in. Some people come in for different reasons, you know, some for photography reasons, some people just want to experience the weather. And we work with a whole different group from week to week.
Now you do photography as well as videography, correct?
Right. I started out in photography and then got into the video through some college training and things, and then worked in the TV market for a while. But I'm slowly kind of weaning out the video and getting back into still photography, going back to the roots.
Well, that's great. I tell you, looks like we got a pretty nasty storm brewing around us. Think we might be able to start this afternoon?
Yeah, absolutely. We've already got updrafts developing. We've seen some lightning, so I think we're going to have a good chase today.
Let's do it. Let's get started.
All right. Kind of watching the storm before it really intensifies, and we just heard a severe thunderstorm warning on this thing out of the Pueblo, Colorado office. We have time to, you know, kind of get out and kind of take some good scenic shots and use a tripod. But, you know, when we're in the thick of things and this thing really ramps up, we're going to be kind of hopping ahead of it. So I try to stay where I can get a really good tight shot of this business end back here. And so a lot of times I'm out, I'm trying to use like a lens that's got a low f-stop on it, a fast shutter speed, try to get as much light into the camera as I possibly can, but you often don't have the time to set up a tripod. So it's maybe a good time to, you know, try to look for fence posts or something that maybe just even having a monopod where you just get a quick stick in the ground just to kind of help balance your shot a little bit.
Just the supercells are really, really magnificent. As you can hear the wind picking up now, it's getting a little bit closer. But this storm's got a lot of work to do yet. When I'm composing these shots, I like to try to include some of the agricultural fields in my foreground, but just a little bit. The main part of your shot is going to be these clouds and the storms, and the way the clouds kind of arch up above you, you can get some really, really dramatic shots with wide-angle lenses. Every few minutes, the storm shapes change completely, and you get completely different shots. The colors change, the textures change, and the outside edge of the formations change.
One of the things I like to do quite a bit when I'm shooting a storm like this, where you have a really bright region, below the updraft, you have a darkened storm above it. So you got to be real careful about just blowing out the whole entire background. So I'll try to find something like this precipitation that's more of a neutral gray, and exposure lock on that, and then come back in and shoot back in towards the light. And you'll get a really good balance.
I see how you could easily mess up as far as, not thinking through your exposures and thinking through your shots, regardless of what the situation is.
Yeah, and sometimes, if a tornado forms, sometimes they only last a few seconds. So it's one of those things where you really have to stay calm, and you have to keep your composure, and you have to really think about what you're doing when you're taking the shot. My general rule is that when we start to feel the winds coming from that direction, and it's got that cooler air, then it's time to generally try to get a little further away. Because, right above us is where all the business is going to happen. And so we're basically losing our vantage angle on the storm.
Right.
Instead of seeing good structure, we're seeing things up above us, and it's really hard to get, definition out of that. It's amazing to sit here and look at the stuff moving around over the top of us.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't make for a great photograph.
Well, the storm's, we're almost directly underneath it. Do we need to reposition?
Yeah, we do. It's got a lot of motion in it, and it's one of those things that's easiest seen when you are underneath it, but this really isn't probably the safest place to be. Not so much for tornadic possibilities at the moment, because she still has a little bit of work to do, but there's a definite lightning hazard here.
Yeah.
So I'm just glad you're taller than I am.
Let's get out of here.
All right, man.
As long as I stay lower. Now you're taller than me. I don't know if we're going to be able to get in front of this or not, Brian. She's moving pretty fast.
Yeah, it's moving at 45, but typically, that's what we want to do, is to try to stay on the southeast side of this. So as it's moving to the northeast, we're just going to keep trying to go east. So typically we should stay on the southeast side of it. If the storm's going to the northeast, then if you're on the southeast side, common sense says if there's a tornado, it's going to be moving with the storm. Right. So that way you have a good shot, you got the sun on the western sky, so you have contrast shooting back into it as well. If someone's new to the idea of storm chasing, and especially if it sounds scary, or if they don't feel like they're completely confident in their ability to do it, just find a local storm chaser, somebody that's got a little bit of experience, that knows maybe more about what's going to happen out on the road.
This is really cool, and I think other people really ought to get out and enjoy this type of thing. A lot of times people see storm, oh my gosh, they run, and really, it's beautiful. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, actually. Yeah. And we hadn't even seen a tornado yet. Yeah,
one of the neat things is that no two storms are ever the same. So, you see the basic structure of the storm, but they all look a little bit different. Let's get out and watch this thing, see what she's going to do. Brian, I don't think she's going to do anything. Looks like weakening up on us. Yeah, she's kind of falling apart. So I think what we probably best do at this point is just, it's been a long day. Let's go in and find some food somewhere, and start looking for options for the night, and we'll take a look at the forecasting models and kind of make a decision whether we're going to do a little more driving to try to get set up for tomorrow or the day after, and see what's going to happen.
All right, well, tomorrow's another day.
Another day, another mile, another town.
Another chase. What an amazing day. Unbelievable. And we still got quite a show. The sun's down, the cells are moving on past us. If a tornado was on the ground, we wouldn't be able to see it anyway at this point. Boy, Brian, this is some beautiful shots of lightning.
Yeah, this is always kind of the nice thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You're right behind the storm, and you got a dying cell, and you get a lot of lightning out of it, so
Yeah, this is pretty neat. And you know, people think lightning shots are really hard to get. They're like, how'd you get that? How'd you trip that shutter just at the right moment? Well, we're going to tell you a little secret. It's not really that hard. Most SLR cameras that have any kind of manual modes to them have what's called a bulb setting. And you set the camera to bulb setting and run your f-stop up between f8 and f22, depending on how bright and intense the lightning is. And then you want to use a wide angle lens and set the lens markings, the footage markings, to infinity.
Right.
And that will give you everything from right in front of you to infinity in sharp focus, because when it's dark like this, you can't see anything to photograph it, and when the lightning strikes, you know, it's so brief, you're never going to get it in focus. So you set that lens to the infinity mark and everything will be in sharp focus. Then you can either use a timer release and hold the button down for as long as you want and release it, and what it'll do is ever how many lightning strikes strike while you have the shutter open, that's how many will register in the frame.
Right.
I use a cable release that's got a lock on it, so when I mash the button, it's open, the shutter is open, and now every lightning strike that happens in my frame will record in one image. So if you want one lightning bolt, you wait on one lightning bolt to strike. If you want 15 lightning bolts to strike, just leave it open until all of them finish striking. It's a really fun thing to do. It's really easy to do. People, you know, make it a lot harder than it really is. One of the neat things we've got going on here is we've got a little city, a little town in the background, and got some street lights. I don't really care for the street lights, but I love what it does to the clouds.
Well, it adds a horizon,
right,
to the entire photo. So when you do get a bright flash, it's all highlights.
Right.
So you let the lightning do the work for you, but those lights on the horizon just kind of give you that bottom 1/3.
Right. One thing I also like to do, I still like to try to get something in my foreground. Here, it's all open, flat country. We have nothing to frame in the foreground. But if you had a nice tree that had a nice shape to it, watch the lightning, watch it flash a couple times, and you'll see it kind of light up the silhouette of the tree. So just kind of keep looking through your camera until you can position that tree in 1/3 of your frame. Then you can get some really magnificent things. You can have the shape of the tree, you can have the lightning bolts, and then you'll get that glow coming up on the bottom side of all of these clouds, which is really nice. Ooh, there's a nice lightning strike right behind you.
It's always behind us.
It's always behind you. And that's also very important to know. When you're looking at a storm cell that's producing a lot of lightning, watch how it's moving and position your camera in front of that and let the cell move through. You can tell the lightning's striking hard here, then it's here, and then it's here. So I want to put my camera in front of the movement so the cell and the lightning strikes move through the frame. That way you don't miss anything. But this is really nice. I tell you, we chased the storm at over 500 miles today.
From Colby, Kansas to north central Iowa. So yeah, it was quite a drive.
Yeah, and even though we had it was a beautiful storm, and it was pretty exciting. But you know what? This is nice too, and we're gonna sit here and enjoy this. And tonight, go to a hotel, try to look at the models for the storms, and try to come up with a game plan for tomorrow and continue chasing. Storm chasing, you're in a different hotel every night. Get up the next morning, check your forecast, start the chase to possibly a whole nother state, work the storm, find your hotel there, get up the next morning, starts all over again.
All right, here we go.
The National Weather Service has issued a tornado warning.
Now this is the cell that we're going to intercept, and we're here. So it's moving to the northeast, which the cell's going to come right into us.
All right, we've been tornado warned, and this is the cell right here. It's moving toward us rapidly. It's a very impressive looking cell on the radar. It's a waiting game at this point. We have to be ready to move. We got to stay in front of the storm at all times and just take advantage of getting some handheld shots. I'm using 60th of a second with a wide angle lens and shooting 5.6 and f8. That way I don't have to sacrifice my shutter speed because we are blowing around. We got wheat blowing around. Obviously it's raining and you want to keep a rag handy at all times because you're going to get your equipment wet. That's just part of it. Keep your lens clean and dry. It's easy to get caught up in this. So you got to keep in mind everything that you need to know about photography. F-stop, shutter speed, lens selection.
I think there's one on the ground on the back side of the wall.
You got one on the ground?
I think so.
Go to the truck.
She's gonna hose. Let's go over to this concrete highway because it's coming east, and I want to be like right in line with it.
The National Weather Service in Topeka has issued a tornado warning for northern Cloud County, southern Republic County until 8 p.m.
This is amazing.
This is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. I think people really overlook the beauty of a storm. Is it dangerous? Yeah, it's very dangerous. But, you know, in the hands of an experienced storm chaser, you can do this fairly safely and really have an amazing experience. And you're thinking if she drops a tornado, it's going to be right up here on this side?
Well, there's a couple of funnels that it just produced a little bit ago, and they dissipated just about as fast as they formed.
The thing about trying to photograph these supercells and tornadoes, you never know where they're going to hit. Are you going to get a ton of beautiful pictures? Probably not, but when it happens and you don't have anything in your way and the lighting's right and the storm is right, you really come away with something amazing. Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's not it. One coming down right there?
That is a funnel. It's done it a few times.
Come on, baby, come on. You can do it.
Yeah, she's working. Now she's close enough that we can see the entire base of this thing really well. And she's almost right above her head, so if she was to hose now, we'd have a great shot with a 17mm lens.
Wow.
But if she doesn't hose pretty quickly, then we're going to have to reposition and pick a new spot with a good escape route if we need it. The cell's moving east at 20, and we're east of it, so it's coming pretty much directly at it.
You got to do anything you can to stabilize your camera. It's just too risky to try to use a tripod right now. Tornado could form right here within feet of us. Just a little something to stabilize your shot. Because now I can shoot 30th of a second, whereas before I was having to shoot 60th of a second. Come on, baby, do it, do it. Since I'm using a wide angle lens, I'm setting my lens on the infinity mark, letting it rip.
Gentlemen, I think it's about time we set up somewhere else.
All right, let's go.
Keep an eye on it. She's ready to go. See this? Look at this up here. Look at that.
I know.
She's ready to hose. So we don't want to be under it when it does. She's like right here.
Jamestown.
6 miles east. She's like right there.
We're gonna try to hit a paved road.
We're gonna come down here.
Okay.
And right now we're just a little bit to the north-northeast. So we're just gonna shoot down about 5 or 6 miles. They just put another warning out.
This storm has a history of producing tornadoes. Take cover in a basement or storm shelter now and protect yourself from flying debris.
We jumped in the van, ran southeast, 6 more miles. We got in front of the storm. We're far enough away now that we can use tripods. She still hadn't dropped a tornado yet, but you can hear the tornado sirens going off in the background. And now with the tripods, we can get the ISOs back down and get our shutter speeds down and f-stops back up. She's wanting to pop, isn't she?
Oh, she is. She's spinning like a top. And we're in a pretty safe position here too, because the storm's moving to the east and we're south of it.
Okay.
So we're looking back into the north. There's another funnel, lightning on the sides of it.
It's a waiting game. Look at all that motion right there, Brian. That's the most I've seen yet.
She just gets close and then
Just gives up.
you can still hear the tornado sirens going off in Concordia too.
Mm-hmm. You know, we've driven all day long chasing this storm, and it comes down to the last minute.
If this were to hose right now, we'd be shooting gray against gray.
Right.
There wouldn't be very much detail or definition in it.
I think a lot of previous TV shows have put a false idea of what storm chasing is all about in people's minds. You know, it's not go storm chasing and every day tornadoes, tornadoes, tornadoes. And of course, like you told me, some days you do have good days and you see multiple tornadoes, but
Right.
would you say that's not the norm?
Oh, definitely not the norm. Yeah, there's a lot of driving and a lot of second guessing yourself and second guessing the weather and trying to just be in the right place at the right time.
You have done an amazing job of getting us on supercells that, you know, are ready to pop any minute. But like I said, they got a mind of their own.
Yeah, this thing it's been tornado worn now for about a little over an hour. And she's just really trying, but you know, it's just one of those days when maybe not everything's just going to come together quite right.
This has been amazing. Absolutely amazing.
It's easy to see why you get addicted to this.
Yeah.
All right, well, the roads are throwing a trick at us, so let me figure out. Let's go play. Wow, that's incredible structure on this thing.
Whoa, that's some big hail.
Yeah, some of it's golf ball size. All right, I think we're gonna come up here, hit this highway, we come down, follow in behind it, and try to get ahead of it.
It's getting pretty rough looking back over there.
Yeah, I'll warn you now, it's gonna get nasty. I mean, really nasty.
We're going through that?
Yeah, once we punch to the core of the storm, it should be sunny, and that's where I expect to find a tornado.
I can't see a thing, Brian.
Look hard.
She's hosed. It's here somewhere.
This is a serious game of cat and mouse, isn't it?
It is. Chances are there's a tornado right there. Yeah, this is active. This is hugely active. Oh my gosh, look behind us.
Where'd that come from? Pull over, pull over.
No, it's too close.
I think it's going to cross the road behind us.
If we can get around this next north-south road, we'll have a much better angle on the sun.
You got 30 seconds to get a shot, Doug. No tripods. Come on, Doug. We gotta go if we're gonna stay in front of it.
Go, Brian, go, go.
Keep an eye on it because it might fizzle out before we get repositioned.
Wow, just that quick, it's gone. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, but this storm's still very tornadic, Doug, because that storm's pushing away from us and we're on the rear flank downdraft. So that hail core is being wrapped around that base of the supercell. So it's still tornadic, we need to stay on it.
All right, let's keep chasing. Wow, what an amazing week this has been. Chasing storms here in Tornado Alley. And I'm privileged to have experienced it with one of the country's best storm chasers, Brian Barnes. More information about our show and Brian's storm chasing tours is available online. Remember, it's not just about the photograph, it's the outdoor experience. I'm your host, Doug Gardner, and thank you for joining me on another Wild Photo Adventures. Phenomenons. The supercell.
Hey, we're chasing with overcome.
Supercell.
He's freaking out.
I got a show and Brian Barnes' storm chasing tours. I'm gonna get struck by lightning. All right, here we go. All right. Hey, Brian.
I kind of scratched my nose, man.
Run!
Hey guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to click below to subscribe and share.